talk about marijuana versus alcohol. While both are intoxicants, why is one still illegal? Let's start with a little history. In 1619, a law was passed in Virginia requiring farmers to grow this crop because of its many uses, anywhere from cloth, rope, food, just to name a few. But in the early 1900s, California passed the first law against it due to the influx of Mexicans over the border and their cheap labor. In the 1930s, a federal law was passed. One main reason: the use of pot by white women would make them seek relations with Negroes and jazz musicians. Sounds to me it's a ban due to the prejudice of the people we choose to lead us. I think it should be legalized. It's no worse than alcohol. One good point of marijuana use is anybody I've ever hung out with who smokes it never got into fights. Once talked about a nude or partially closed restaurant I heard about on the radio. The Bunyade, London's first naked food experience, opening this month. Diners here will be given robes and may choose whether or not to remove them. This restaurant is divided into two sections, for those who choose to go all natural and those who choose to keep their pants on. The naked section is divided into cubicles for semi-privacy. Sounds like a memorable date night to me. But don't buy your plane ticket yet. The waiting list is over 32,000 people long. Sounds like this place may be the start of something. Well, time for me to go for my lunch date. The topic is about a small town in Sicily where household items are spontaneously combusting. In mid-January of 2004, electrical goods and furniture started going up in flames. Italian utilities cut power to the town, but it still kept happening. Theories range from arson, power surge, or even the supernaturals, but experts in February of 2003 reported a nearby volcano about 50 miles away had become plugged up, forcing methane gas to find another way out. When this gas concentrates in a place and comes in contact with any kind of spark, it will ignite. I think that was the problem. Maybe they should have given the volcano some X-lax. It always works for me when I'm backed up. I'd like to talk about a little boy who tattled on his dad for running a red light when riding with him. When they got home, this kid called 911 and told the officer what had happened. It's great that we teach our children right from wrong, but this kind of behavior can also be socially and in some cases physically damaging to the child. When one is marked as a tattletale or narc, others will shy away from them or even physically fight with them. There is a fine line of when you should say something to the person doing wrong and when you should bring in a third party. What's your opinion? Torture. I picked this topic, this being Memorial Day weekend, to give you some insight of what some of our military went through. Torture has been a tool used by countless groups since the beginning of civilization. There are two main forms of this: physical, waterboarding, electric shock, just to name a few, and psychological, sleep deprivation, starvation. Torture is used to either gain information or just punish or even kill the captives. But there are people who get sexual pleasure from being tortured. BDSM. This is a form of torture that can be a great way to spice up your sex life, but can also go horribly wrong. So if you venture into this, you must have respect for your partner and always use a safe word. Well, I hope you all take a moment to remember the men and women who gave all for this great country of ours. Well, time for me to go and have some fun. Today's topic: gun safety. I thought about this after hearing about a local person who, while cleaning his gun, shot himself in the leg. I can't understand how this could be done, knowing that you have to open the breech in order to clean the gun properly. So I figured I'd give you a few tips on being a responsible gun owner. Always keep the barrel pointed in a safe direction. Know your target and what's behind it. If you have children, make sure gun and ammo are secured where they can't get their hands on it. Never keep a loaded weapon in your home, and never point the barrel at anything you don't intend to kill. With just a little common sense, we can keep shooting sports safe for all involved. Freak shows. Thank you. Freak shows became popular in the mid-1600s in England. People with deformities were displayed as objects of interest and entertainment. An early example of one of these oddities, Lorenzus Colorado, who was conjoined at the chest with his brother. These types of shows gained popularity until the late 1800s, when public opinion changed. Viewing these kinds of shows was considered distasteful, and in some places passing laws making it illegal. In my opinion, one person's freak show is another's way of overcoming their deformities. And if they were willing and compensated for it, they should be able to display themselves. Now it's time for me to practice my little show. Well, at least this time I hit the tree and not the neighbor's cat. Human-alien hybrids. Are they living among us? A scientist in the UK thinks he has proven it, but he has only interviewed with these so-called hybrids. No DNA or lie detector tests. Not much proof in my eyes, but still I think there could be something to this. But without scientific tests, there is no proof. In another direction, I read that our Democratic frontrunner for president wants to open the so-called X-Files. Maybe we should start the tests with her. What's your opinion? It begins with a serial pooper in Akron, Ohio. The Mad Pooper, as he is dubbed, struck 19 times since 2012. As far as reports, one victim has been hit 6 times. In this case, as in most I've seen, is someone who has a grudge against someone else. I've known a few people who've actually done this. I think you really have to hate somebody to do this. Inmates do this, spreading anything from blood, urine, sperm, or feces, and anyone who comes in contact with it doesn't know whether they have any diseases, hepatitis, STDs, C. diff, and all kinds of other viruses are spread this way. I consider people like this to have real mental issues. Well, I have to get back to work cleaning up after my Mad Pooper. Is about eating out and what extra ingredients are in it. Recently I read an article about a 14-year-old Michigan boy, when eating a roast beef sandwich, chomped down on something tough. He spit it out to find a piece of an employee's finger flesh. This has happened a number of times over recent years. Carelessness, lack of proper training, probably a bit of both. But it was looking into this when I came across some really gross things people do to foods, ranging from spitting to peeing on food. What's wrong with these people? Makes me think twice about eating out. Nah, I still like my occasional hamburger every once in a while. Time for lunch. It's about a New Zealand doctor who, spearfishing with friends, was attacked by a shark. When he felt the shark bite his leg, he stabbed it a few times with his knife, swam ashore and stitched his own wounds. Then he and his friends went to a nearby tavern for a few pints. That's one tough dude in my book. That made me think, with the weather getting warmer and people going to the shore, what can one do when faced with this situation? Sharks bite humans to find out what kind of animal we are. Here are some tips I looked up. Don't take your eyes off the shark. Stay calm, and that's a big thing. No sudden movements. The splashing may make it more curious. And as a last resort, fight it off using whatever you have. And if you survive the encounter, do like the guy I told you about. Go to your local watering hole and have a few pints or two. Barry, that's for you.
Topic:
Thank you.
time travel. Is it possible? Archaeologists in China, when opening a 400-year-old coffin in 2008, found a metal watch inside with its time frozen at 10:06 and Swiss engraved on the back. Some suggestions were made that the time was the moment the traveler left their time to place the piece in the coffin. Other examples are photos taken of famous people long before they were ever born. Even some people using technology such as cell phones that had not been invented at that time, or even some wearing clothing not dated for that period. I think with today's technology, these hoaxes can be pulled off quite easily. Even with the advances we have made from the beginning of humankind, I don't think that we have advanced technology. What's your opinion?
I recently read an article about a Mexican farmer that built a temple on the U.S.-Mexican border. In 1984, this farmer had claimed to be visited by an alien. He was told by the alien that humans were destroying their own planet, which made me think this is true. Being an election year in the U.S., we need to focus on change, and to do that, I'd like to start at the top. We have one candidate in the U.S. who I think would bring any progress we have made backward. Donald Trump. This man only brings hatred to this country by dividing its people. You just have to look at the news to see this is true. He wants to build a wall on the Mexican-American border to stop the Mexican immigrants from coming into this country. We are a country founded by immigrants. Most people in this country are from immigrant descendants. Trump uses intimidation and violence to get what he wants, and that, in my mind, will destroy this country. I think it's time we open our eyes and not let any person with this mindset be given a position to run this or any country. What's your opinion? This topic, extinction. I read an article a few days ago about a prehistoric puppy that had been discovered in Russia. It was found to be well preserved, with even its brain still intact. Scientists have estimated its age to be over 12,000 years old. The major causes of extinction are loss of habitat, introduction of non-native species, pollution, overharvesting, and population growth. We as humans can control all of these, and as being of superior intelligence, we should all do a little something. What's your opinion?
Hello, today's topic is bestiality. Bestiality is defined as sexual fantasies, urges, and sexual activities with animals. Earlier this week, Denmark passed a law making bestiality a criminal offense. There are still a number of countries where it is still legal, including Brazil, Mexico, Thailand, Finland, Hungary, and Romania. In the U.S., there are no federal laws against it, although most states classify it as a felony or misdemeanor. Reports show that 8% of males and 4% of females have had some sexual encounter with an animal in their lifetime, and as high as 17% of males that work on farms. The two main reasons for bestiality are no human partners available and just plain old attraction. In my opinion, it is morally wrong to have sex with a creature, human or animal, without verbal consent. What's your opinion? Let us know.
Today's topic is physical evidence left behind by alien beings. I recently read an article on an 82-year-old man who had brought a table. When he had gotten it home, he had discovered an unearthly face ingrained in the wood.
This is just one recent example. All through our history, these kinds of things have been happening to the point that the world's religions have made mention of it not only in their scriptures, but also in their art. Let's talk about crop circles. Seems to be one of the biggest forms of evidence that we are being visited, but it is also one of the easiest solved. The one I find particularly interesting is the mutilation of cattle and other farm animals. In the Midwest of America, in most of the cases, the animals were found drained of all blood with certain organs removed, particularly the rectum and reproductive organs. High levels of radiation found near the animal and no signs of blood or any struggle, not even a footprint leading in and out of the area. Even scavengers won't touch the carcasses. That alone makes me think something unnatural happened. So, in ending, could this be a secret group trying to plant mass hysteria, or have we been visited?